All right. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, we're streaming now. This is a special Hummingbot live stream. We do this every week, usually me or Fede. But this time, we're testing out a new tool called Restream, so we can do it together. Mainly so we can answer questions from the audience and try to go over what's happened in Hummingbot throughout 2025 and some of what we're working on for 2026. So let me, before we get started, let me go and do some technical checks, make sure that we are actually streaming. Just give me a second. Let's see. Looks like we are. Okay. Well, yeah, if you guys can, whoever's watching, if you guys see any technical issues, just drop it in the chat and we'll try to answer questions as we go along. Okay. All right. Everything looks good so far. So I think Fede is just getting prepped on his side. So I think we'll give everyone probably 5 minutes or so before we get started. As an introduction, my name is Michael. I'm one of the co-founders of Hummingbot. Hummingbot is an open source project that helps people build trading bots and basically do anything from an algo trading standpoint that they need to do in the crypto world. So the reason why people use it is because we integrate to many exchanges. And so if you're a quant trader, an algo trader, or a market maker, you can just basically run your strategies and use the software without having to build integrations to every single exchange out there. Let's see. Let me just check the live stream and make sure we're okay. Okay. Looks like we have some folks in the audience. And as I mentioned, yeah, we'll wait a few more minutes. But if you want, feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we'll try to get through them in the order they're presented. Anything goes. You can ask about what strategies we're working on. What are the types of people who use Hummingbot? What do they use it for? Any questions, technical or non-technical, are up for grabs. And then we'll kind of just go into the history of Hummingbot. I'll kind of just go into a little spiel on where we started, where we're here today, and some of the things that we're working on right now. Overall, we're just incredibly excited about what we're doing, because despite the turbulence in the market, it's clear that, at least to me, that the role of crypto is really about providing the financial tooling that used to be only available to Wall Street, hedge fund traders and so forth, and just making that technology available to the average person. And it's and as someone who started my career in Wall Street, I spent 9 years working for soulless investment banks and just doing these deals and stuff like that. I just feel like there's a lot of actually technology there that really should be made available to the average person. And I think part of what we try to do at Hummingbot is making the strategies, making the high frequency trading software, anything from a technical perspective that you would want to buy or use as an algo trader, in my opinion, there should be a free version, because if I'm using it, someone else probably needs it, and if I can contribute my work somewhere and have it used by everyone, then it just makes me feel good, And I, as a trader, if I can use a product that I know is used by lots of other people, is maintained by the community, it's much better than buying some off-the-shelf software. So, I just think that it's a competitive market anyway. We're all trying to compete in the trading landscape, and so if there is free software like Hummingbot, then people should benefit. Okay, well, so let's get started. I think we're almost about to stream, so I think I'll go ahead and just kind of just talk about where we are today as Hummingbot, and then we'll get into more about kind of the evolution of our tech stack. So where we are today is Hummingbot, I think, has grown into what I think is a leading open source algo trading framework. We started about 6 years ago in March 2018. And as you can see, we started with just a few exchange integrations. And over time, we found that by standardizing exchange integrations and by supporting many different types of exchanges in a single code base, it became something that the community was able to contribute to, help us fix bugs in. And over time, it's kind of grown into something that I think has becoming a standard in the market. So we do try to constantly maintain Hummingbot because there's always new strategies, new exchanges, new types of trading that people want to do. So that's why I think for us the challenge is how do we continue to make the core open source code base more and more useful while trying to support every new thing that comes along. But overall, I think that it's been an incredible journey just to try to support all the different things that have happened in crypto over the past 6 years. We're actually seeing a pretty good amount of volume now as well. I think now, this is from our dashboard where we track the volume that individual clients will report. So there's something that where every about 10 minutes or so, your Hummingbot client will report your anonymous aggregated volume metrics to a central reporting server. So we do know that a lot of institutions do turn it off. So this is probably an undercount. But yeah, over the course of this year, we've had about 25 billion traded, by lots of instances across lots of exchanges. As you can see, the largest ones are still the centralized exchanges in terms of volume, but we are seeing like a really big long tail, lots of DEXs, lots of smaller sexes, and a lot of these are connectors that individual developers and traders have built themselves by using this standard. So, but I think the core of what Hummingbot, what makes Hummingbot is really the connectors. So we now currently support 3 different types of connectors. One is like centralized order book exchanges like BitGet and Binance. We also support decentralized exchanges like Hyperliquid or XRPL. So unlike the sexes, you basically just connect them with a wallet, but there's still order book exchanges under the hood. So these 2 types of connectors are in the core Hummingbot code base, which is a Python-based framework that integrates to exchanges. About starting last year, we also started to integrate into blockchain-based AMM DEXs like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Meteor, and Meteora. And so these are done because these are very blockchain specific. We have a different code base called Gateway that handles the basic interactions with the blockchain and interactions with AMM DEXs. But we still see a lot of interest from the community in using and adding new exchange integrations. And we also work with exchanges themselves to add these integrations. So recently we started a bounties program where exchanges can help basically have us manage a bounty where a community developer builds it according to a spec, and we oversee the whole process for the exchange. So we're currently doing that right now for Orca, getting the Orca connector in. There's a few CLOB DEXs that we're working on that are in the that they're getting the code base, and I think we just fixed the BitGet connector alongside the team. There's Fede. I see Fede now. Can you hear me, Fede?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I can hear you. I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think I was just going through explaining the history and everything. But yeah, it's good that you're on. I'm glad that this restream thing's working. So it seems like it's working okay, right?
Yeah, it's working really well. Well, I can see the live from the app. Seems like it's working really well. Okay.
So yeah, so Fede is our CTO, but yeah, usually we actually do these like separately. So it's good to do one together for once. I was just explaining kind of like I think the connectors are really the heart of Hummingbot because we kind of basically bridge the users who tell us what exchanges they want to trade on. So right now, for instance, we're getting lots of demand from the community to add integrations to like new DEXs like Lighter, for example. So we're currently engaged with the Lighter team, trying to make sure that we can get a connector built for them. Meanwhile, there's also individuals out there who have already built these connectors, and we try to basically have the developers maintain the connectors for the exchange and get paid a bounty through the process. So it is a big job trying to maintain. I think we probably have like 50 plus connectors right now, but I think this is the core value proposition behind Hummingbot.
Yeah.
But then of course people want to run strategies. So as soon as we started, we created a few sample strategies. And a strategy in our definition is really just an automated process where there's a process that is continually fetching data for the exchange, and then performing some type of logic, and then executing those transactions and doing that over and over again. So now, obviously, there's many different types of strategies, but so what we try to do is have a framework and create lots of reference examples that the community has been using. So one of the first ones we created, which was called pure market making, I think is still heavily used by the community. And then over the years, recently we introduced the V2 framework, which allows you to build more complex strategies. And so we've been creating examples there. But we also have like a simpler version called scripts. So because of content strategies, recently we realized that by having just a simple command line tool wasn't enough to surface all the capabilities of a Hummingbot. So recently we took all the connectors, all the strategies, and also how to start them, how to even do direct trading, and we put them into what we call the Hummingbot API. So the API is basically a REST server that exposes a set of endpoints, and the endpoints have all the functionalities that you may want to use. And so we think the API should be the default entry point for someone, especially if you're a developer. If you're a user, maybe we want to just use the client to do some trading. But I think today we see a lot of our users are either individuals who are getting serious about their algo trading, or they're like small market making firms or algo trading firms. So in that case, especially if you're operating in a team environment, if you're running lots of different bots, if you're trying to basically set up like a central command center for your trading operations, I think the API is actually the best place to start. So Fede is still adding to it, but it has all the functionality that the original Hummingbot client has, but also has access to the gateway, which has the decentralized exchange trading, and you can even do direct trading through the API. So that's why we think the API is probably like the most powerful, like central point for anything Hummingbot in the future. So what we're doing now is, so now that we have the API, we're building a couple of reference applications that people can use. So you can build anything on top of the API, but we wanted to just build a couple of like reference apps, maintain them ourselves, use them ourselves, and try to get the community to use them as well. So Fede is gonna maintain he's gonna introduce a Telegram application. It's a Telegram client that will basically allow you to control the API, do anything a traditional Telegram bot has, but also a lot more, as he'll explain. And then I'm going to work on a more like a desktop app that's focused more on like on-chain activity and basically swapping and LPing and basically on-chain trading. But we're hoping that these kind of like reference applications will be used, but also show you what you can build on top of the Hummingbot API as well. So yeah, so I think this is actually, I would say, the extent of my presentation. I'll start answering questions, and I think in the meantime, we can kind of like just demo, what we're working on as well. Yeah, Fede, do you want to add anything before we get started?
No, just saying that anyone can build on top of Hummingbot API. That's like the main idea behind it. It's like kind of wrapper of Hummingbot, but exposed through an API and with multi-account management. So anyone can build their own application on top of us. That's the good thing, probably.
Yeah. So and actually, I have it running here. So basically, just you can see that we have all the routes for like accessing the containers, because a lot of what API does is it spins up new bots as new new containers. You can interact with the gateway API server, which handles the DEX and the blockchain interactions. You can add accounts to new exchanges. So this is adding the keys you'll need in order to do trading. You can see the different exchange connectors that are available. And once you add your credentials, you can actually see the history of your portfolio across all your exchanges, which I think is a really good touch for those of you who are managing lots of different accounts on lots of different exchanges. And then, of course, you can do direct trading. You can place orders on any of the connected exchanges. You can set kind of the leverage, the position mode, and access information like the funding rates and so forth. You can do swaps. You can get information on kind of like dexes and blockchain positions, and of course, you can also orchestrate and run bots as well, which are bots are like kind of like a process automating something. So it's a really powerful set of routes, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. So that's why I think for us, it's we want to showcase what we can do. And so I think a Telegram client, a Telegram bot is probably the main like the kind of like the easiest way that you can interact with it. So that's why we're building that.
Yeah, and also I would add one important thing that is once you have the API running and your keys connected, is like you have automatically you have a feature available that is like that your portfolio is tracked automatically. So it's like you connected your Binance key, you connect your OKX key. Every 5 minutes, a database is being populated with the information of your current units and the value that those units represents. So you have like the USD value stored in a database that you can access through other routes. So that is like quite. Actually, did you have any connected key already?
The API. I just use it for more for testing. Let me actually check the. Let me just check. I think
because if you have the history.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Did you never connected a key before?
I did, but it's not.
It's better if you delete everything and just leave the limit argument. Okay. Just leave the limit.
Right. Yeah.
And remove the last
one.
I did.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I did. Yeah. So here's my Hyperliquid account balance.
Yeah, if you have there, it's a record for every timestamp. That every 5 minutes, the amount of tokens and units that you have for each.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, yeah. So actually, I thought let me go ahead and let me answer a couple questions from the audience that we have here, and then we'll get started maybe with a couple of demos as well. So I see one question from Roger who asks, "Hi Mike, with all the talks about exchanges who bring in volume and fees, how is it possible they ask you money to list HBOTs was an ERC20 token with no infrastructure building needed?" It's a good question. So overall, the exchange, I would say, listings is one of the main ways they make money. So I think, like as a token issuer, a lot of times exchanges will basically charge like lots of money for any token to be listed because they have to do some work in order to support that token listing. This is actually one of the main reasons why I think a lot of tokens now are just not getting listed on central exchanges. They're just creating pools on a decentralized exchange and letting the community trade there. So that's actually what I would say the case with HBOT, where HBOT, the token, most of the liquidity for HBOT is actually in Uniswap. So if you wanted to actually buy or sell the HBOT token, you can actually, I would say just do so using your Uniswap wallet. And I don't think the Uniswap wallet is now available pretty much anywhere. But the other thing is, I would say, from our standpoint, we really haven't focused on the token because Hummingbot ultimately is an open source project. The token does have a utility, is used for governance. We use it to vote for the community uses it to vote for which exchanges should be in the code base. But overall, I would say, I would say it hasn't really listed in many places. We do really think of it as a pure utility token. So, but I think that as Hummingbot, as we expand next year, as we support more and more exchanges, I do think the ability for token holders to really decide which exchanges are prioritized is important. But overall, I would say the token has just not been our focus. Our focus has been on just building good technology that can be used by the market. Okay, let me answer one more question, and then maybe we'll get into demos. Stefan says, "I like to see examples of profitable strategies. Do you have a holy grail?" So I actually recommend that people don't focus on finding a strategy that's profitable or not profitable, because if you think about it, like trading is a competitive sport. If you could classify strategies to profitable or not profitable, everyone would just run the profitable ones, and eventually those profitable strategies would go down to zero because everyone's running it. So the way I would think about strategies is more like, I think you want to know why you're running a strategy and how it's going to make money for you or do whatever purpose that you want for you. So I would say typically you want to start by a combination of goal. For example, maybe you want to generate lots of volume in order to farm points. Maybe you're trying to attain some VIP threshold on an exchange, so you need to generate this much volume without minimizing money. So what I would do is I would actually pick the outcome you're trying to achieve, which is typically volume or placing liquidity or whatever, and then look for the strategy that will allow you to automate that behavior. So if you're new, I would actually start with something like like pure market making, like if you're kind of simpler, or if you want to start with V2, something like Grid Strike, where you're basically it's kind of similar to a traditional grid bot. But I think because anytime you automate something, it's more complicated than doing it manually. I would actually try to first make sure you're comfortable manually trading first before you automate your trading activities. Okay. Let me answer a couple more questions, and then and then if you could chime in also if you want to answer any of these. So Gordon says, I'm focused on liquidity mining. What is the realistic minimum capital and ROI targets of scaling up? Okay, great question. So the first thing I would focus on if I'm liquidity mining is a platform that you're mining on, and I would try to start with one trading pair and a small amount of capital just to make sure that it's going to be a repeatable exercise. So for example, in Hummingbot, in the community section, we have a list of reward programs that offer various liquidity mining programs that people can use. So the one that's always been around, that kind of like the people in our community use, was called the Miner platform that was started by our parent company. So if you're starting with a Miner platform, what I would recommend is focusing on one trading pair, so you can kind of understand what it's like, and then starting just with a small amount of capital and trying to make sure that the weekly rewards that you're going to earn are actually compensating you for any kind of trading losses you may want to have. Now, this does require some experimentation because on the face of it, it looks like it can be quite profitable. For example, this pair here, the weekly rewards are $759. There's only 14 active traders, but you can see, these guys are placing orders in the book. It is kind of competitive. So just understanding the system and having some experience running it, I think, is key. On the other hand, you also may want to check out XRP Liquid, which is the program that we operate, which is similar, but you have to run bots on the XRPL connector. So because there's technical differences between running the exchanges, it's a lot of times like it does take some investment in order to understand, earning the rewards, making sure that you're earning consistently. So overall, I would advise focus on one program, focus on one trading pair, and start with something like $100 worth of capital and try to make sure you're actually earning, and then gradually scale up the amount of capital you deploy into the program. But I do think this can be a successful approach because when I look at the leaderboards for Miner, for example, and for XRP Liquid even, it's really the same folks. I should recognize some of the names because it's the same people who have been in our community for the past 5 or 6 years. And so if they keep on liquidity mining, I think my assumption is that they must be making some money off of it. But overall, the way that at least I think Fede and I think about Hummingbot is, there's many different things that you can do with Hummingbot out there. There's many different exchanges you can trade on. So even for ourselves, we don't try to do everything. So, but I do think that if you're actually using it for yourself and you're using like some aspects like whether it's a connector, whether it's your own strategy, even you can even do direct trading through the API. We think it's like, yeah, you focus on the aspect that you are comfortable with, and try to get to a point where you're actually making money consistently off of it. So the best opportunities we've seen in our community are things like, some new exchange has points, and you can run a strategy to farm those points very easily. So I think the one that, for instance, Hyperliquid, there's always lots of kind of incentives they have right now, and I think the ability to kind of like just provide liquidity or trade things on lots of every exchange is what people use Hummingbot for. Okay, let me answer one more question from Roger, and then we'll maybe start some demos, and then Fede can demo what he's building on the Telegram side. But so Roger says, I was thinking to build my own community around the Hummingbot software. Is there any way you can make a fee profit from people using the miner, like in Feng or RefLink, so I can keep my service free? I would say yes. The easiest way to do that, I think, is using referrals codes at different exchanges. Because every exchange has some type of like referral program. If you're technical, you can also you can also adjust the Hyperliquid connector to add your builder code into it, for example. And then if someone runs that connector, then you can get paid off the builder code. So overall, I would say there's many different ways that you could inject some type of affiliate or referral code into the running of a bot. But I would say you have to be pretty technical in order to do that. Overall, yeah, I do think that I do want to encourage people to just create like clubs or sub communities. I would say there's actually some kind of like schools like Cornell, UC Santa Cruz, which have like kind of little groups of people that are using Hummingbot. We try to support them on our Discord. So
yeah, I will add Mike there that probably adding that will not be a good idea. For example, for Hyperliquid, because you're going to be charging the users, and our software does not charge it. So why the people will use yours and not the original software? It's like the people will naturally pick the Hummingbot software because it's free and we don't charge the users. But I think that the way to go is more like what Dom does. I think that Dom manages the Chinese community, and he has like a private group where he charges the people to be there to access to some premium information about strategy configuration. So, but it's independent of him.
I agree. Yeah. Well, what I meant with the builder codes is more like if you're going to build like a proper application on top of Hummingbot, and then so it's like it's not just the core open source code base. You're doing something else on top. I have seen some applications out there that are basically like kind of market making for people, and some of those are actually doing pretty well because they're adding a lot more on top of it than just the bot. Anyway, so but overall, I would say I do think that because the API is out there, it's a lot easier for people to build on top of Hummingbot. So like for instance, like you can build any type of like application on top of Hummingbot, and I think that to me actually that's where if you did want to add like any referral code, you would probably want to add it there as well. Okay. All right. So let's transition now. So I do think we want to kind of like let's do some demos. So maybe Fede, do you want to share your what you're working on in terms of the?
If you want, you can start with yours if you want.
Okay. So let me start with mine. 1 second. Let me do this. Make sure I'm restream here. Okay. All right. So yeah, basically, so I've been working on this. It's kind of similar, but basically, I'm going to work on the Mac app. So what I've done is because like basically when you run Hummingbot API, there's actually a gateway part. So this gateway part is actually it's imported. So the gateway part helps you do on-chain. So the one I built is actually just using the gateway API directly. So for example, I have the gateway API running on port 1588 here right now. So for example, here it is, right here. So I'll start it again. Start that there. Oops, takes a while. Okay, so yeah, so once I here, so now I'm going to go into this other app called Gateway App, and I'm going to run Tari Go. So this is a Mac app here. So it's a Gateway desktop app, and this is basically a thin client on top of the API. So it's, for instance, like this config route here, you can access through this config setting. So instead of kind of like passing, getting a list of configs and kind of updating each individual value, you could just kind of update the configs here. So for example, let's say you wanted to add an Infura API key, you could just kind of go to Infura and then add or modify the API key here, and it will set. You can also change whether something a value is using WebSocket or not. So overall, like this config part is just kind of like just allows to configure the app. I did add an app configuration section, so you can toggle between dark mode and light mode, and you can pick a theme for a specific chain, like Ethereum or Solana. So let me change to the default Solana theme, and it will stick with Uniswap Pink for Ethereum. So basically, in terms of the top part here, this is where you can change your active wallet or chain. So for example, here I'm going to switch to my Ethereum wallet. You can also add a new wallet here by selecting a chain and adding a private key. So yes, if I change to Ethereum, what it does is it will change the network. It'll reconnect to the default network for Ethereum, which I've configured to be base, and it'll access the RPC provider you've set, and if it's connected, you'll see a green dot here as well. You can also check out the logs if you want to see what Gateway is really doing, because as I mentioned, this is just a thin client. So the actual magic under the hood is happening over here at the Gateway API level. So you can open this log button. This is basically just just streaming of what's happening in the logs. You can see what's happening in logs. And you can also kind of like restart the server if you want to do something. You probably will need to restart the server. You're testing it because I think with rate limits and everything, I still haven't fully optimized it. What else can you do? Yeah, you can see your portfolio. So here, this is my Solana portfolio. You can add a token if you want and everything. So yeah, but the main activities that you can do in this app, I envision, are basically swapping tokens and providing liquidity to different pools in LPA. So ultimately, this app is kind of focused on AMMs and the things you would do on chain. So for example, let's go ahead and so this Solomon token is a new ICO that just came out a couple of days, yesterday. So I have a little bit of it. So let's say you wanted to buy a bit more of the Solomon token. So you can go here to swap, and you can basically say here, I'll get a quote from Jupiter to do the swap. So let's say 0.1 Sol. So here's a price from Jupiter. Right now, the only router DEX that integrated to Solana is Jupiter. But if there were other routers, then you could select and get quotes from the other routers as well. So in the future, when there's Titan or Camino, then I think that you may have more options. So let's say you're happy with this, and so you can execute the swap. And
hey, Mike. One thing is that the screen is in the gateway.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, docs.
No, I didn't realize that. Sorry. I've not been sharing it all for the last like 5 minutes. Let me do this again. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me start over. Let me start over again, actually, because I don't think you guys. I wasn't actually sharing anything. Okay. So Okay, here is the Gateway Mac app that I was referring to. So yeah, the config part, I would mention this is a config pane where you can toggle the dark, like the mode for the chain. You can also kind of select the theme you want, and you can toggle the network and the wallet. So here is Ethereum, which is in pink, and then here is Solana. So as I mentioned, the main thing you can do is to manage your portfolio, perform swaps into fractions. Let me change the dark mode, not dark mode. So let's say you wanted to acquire some more of the Solo token. The Solo is a ICO that just happened yesterday. We can check out the address if we want. Here's the address. So currently the price is about 0.75. So let's go ahead and get a quote for it. So we can get a quote. Okay, sometimes I need to restart the server. Still some issues, but so let's say I wanted to Sol and then buy some Solo. So you get a quote like this. If you had selected more routers, there'll be more available that you can select. But right now, the only one we've configured is Jupiter. So let's try to execute that quote. So here's the details. Here's the actual quote ID, and then when you confirm the swap, it should actually kick off a transaction. Okay. Oh, oops. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I got. There's a bug here. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is where I need to do some debugging. I don't know why it's not working. I must have broke something when I changed the repo earlier today. But yeah, so I would say the idea is that you can actually do the swap, and you'll see it in the portfolio. And the other thing you can do is manage your pools. So for example, let's say you wanted to, instead of buying the Solo token, you want to add some liquidity to the pool on Meteora. So here is the Solo USDC pool. This is the current distribution. We can see it as well if we go to the pool on Meteora over here, which should be the same. Same distribution. Now, if we want to add position, we want to define how much Solo we want. So let's say we'll take the max, and then we need to find a price range. So let's pick a 10% wide position. So that would look like this. So a 10% wide position in Solo right now is between 0.71 and 0.78. So this means that as the price moves around here, we are going to get paid the fees that people pay, which is 0.75%. So we do have enough tokens to create this. So let's go ahead and create this position. This will probably fail because I probably need to fix the same bug I just need to fix. But yeah, this in theory should work. Let's see. Oh, actually, it did work. Okay. Yes. Okay, that did work. So now it's sent the transaction. It's pulling right now, and it should. Oh, this pulling is very slow. This is actually what I should do. WebSocket. But yeah, it's once it confirms, which it should confirm, then you should see the position. Let me restart this. No, actually, I did not open the position. Yeah. So let's see. All right, let me try that again. This actually was working yesterday. I don't know why it's not working now. But let me try opening that Solo USDC position again. Actually, let me try this. I know. I'm gonna try this. I was actually using the website earlier. Okay. I'll try using WebSocket. I think this actually was working better. But let me try creating the position again. Okay. So let me see. Let's go 20 Solo, and then maybe 15 USDC. 10% line. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now when you open position, you'll see your position down here like this. And you can basically collect fees or close the position. You should also see the transaction listed here in the transactions tab. So by default, this basically pulls all the transactions from your account. There are a bunch of spam transactions you always have, so that's why you'll see this hide unknown button. So if you hide them in under ones, the remaining ones should just be the ones that that you did. So this one, for example, this is one that we just did where we added solo and USCC into the position, and this was the amount that we paid to create the position. So when you go to your portfolio now we should see the position here in our positions list in addition to the tokens in our portfolio. And then we can go to Meteor here, and we can manage a position, we can collect fees on it, and we can close it by doing this. So so this is nascent. As you can see, I think there's still a lot of work that I need to do to make sure that especially on the RPC side, the WebSocket connections are firing correctly. It's reconnecting everything. But I do think that over time, as I get the backend fixed, I think this application will be a good one to use for anyone that's kind of like just providing liquidity or doing swaps. I don't know why that's working. Let's see, position. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't work. Let's try to closing again. Okay, so that's time to close. So overall, I think I'm pretty happy with where this app is in terms of like the overall kind of like the utility is, and I think I have the right functionalities here. There's a lot more work I need to do to make sure that the actual the endpoints actually work properly. It's caching the right amounts, and overall, this application becomes something that I would want to use myself. But I think it's a good kind of just a test case of what you can do with the API because this API is actually also in the Hummingbot API. Whether you're building an application on top of whichever API you're building on top of, I think that there's a lot you can do with things like this that are built on top of the API. So this is one example. But I think Fede is working on a Telegram example, which is different, but it's using kind of like a similar API schema under the hood. Let me just see if there's any questions in the audience. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you guys. Yeah, that was just a quick preview of what we're working on. So this is actually already in a branch in the I think it's called a Gateway app right now in the Hummingbot repo. So it's already like a public repo, so you can already kind of test it out and play around with it if you want. But the actual kind of release will probably be in about a month as we kind of fix some of the core issues in the app. This is probably not like a core Hummingbot product. It's more like kind of side repos that we'll maintain. But overall, I think that I'm quite excited about just kind of like just using it myself and trying to build it into something that other people that are trading on chain would also want to use. Oh yeah, and I should mention I haven't fully tested yet, but I do think I can build an Android version. Actually, I've already tested the Android version because we're using this framework called Tori that allows you to build for both desktop as well as mobile platforms. I'll focus on desktop for the time being, but I do think that there's probably an Android version that I'll be able to build in the future. Okay, so that was just an example of the Mac app. Fede, do you want to go over the Telegram one?
Yeah, I think that we are ready to show the Telegram now.
Okay.
Let me try to clear the history now. Yeah, it's really good, and the UI looks like really fantastic. So
it's amazing. I think before we were all, we're trying to make it work on top of like the CLI, with like Streamlit. But I realized, if you can use like React, it's a lot easier to build just responsive stuff. So it was fun playing around with like
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm also very hyped on like what we can build. So I think that it's time to experiment. The dashboard probably is a good tool, but maybe it doesn't have like the beautiness of a React app. and it's kind of like clunky. But this time what I'm going to show is that I'm focusing on the Telegram integration, because Telegram, you can use it on desktop, you can use it on the iPad and on the phone. So on the go is probably like a good tool to have. Maybe it's like you want to know like very fast from all your accounts what's like the state that your accounts have. And well, it's something that you probably want to have. So that's why we are building this Telegram app that we call it to be in line with our Hummingbot ecosystem. It's called Condor, like it's like a kind of eagle. So yeah, let me introduce you Condor, guys. So we need like to add drums to our live streams.
Yeah. This is the sound. There's music here.
Wait. Yeah. That music can be for a detective show. Tell me if I am sharing the. Can you see the Telegram now?
Wait, 1 second. 1 second. Let me. Can you share again? There's a button that said add to scene, but it went away. Can you share again?
Yes. I don't know if you're seeing like I see this screen, right?
Okay, yeah. Now I see the screen. Yeah, I see your
and
full screen.
If I go here, yeah, you can see the same screen. Okay, perfect.
Now I see the
Well, this is Condor. For now, looks like kind of powerful. But yeah, the idea of this bot is that it can help you managing your servers. It supports multi-server by default, so you can connect to a server that is in Japan, and you can connect it to another server that is in Tokyo or in any other place. So that is like a good thing. And basically, once you start it will tell you, well, manage your trading bots. It will tell you what is the chat ID, because this will be important when trying to set up the bot. Mainly because if not, anyone else can send a message to the bot. So well, that would be something nice to test, Mike. If you can send a message to my bot and if it responds.
Okay.
I can give you the. Let me send you on private then the bot name.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we can see if you can send it. But basically, there is a restriction based on the chat ID that if the route is protected with the chat ID wrapper, basically anyone sending a message to it that is not part of that user that is not the ID will not work.
Okay.
So well, that is how this basically works. Then here we have some of the tools that we have available. You will probably start always with the configuration. Here we can connect the API servers, and we'll tell you like if it's running or not. For example, this is the local server that I have here. If I go to here to Docker, you will see that it's running. This Hummingbot API, I have it running here. Basically, over here. It's running. Sorry, it's running here from source. I have the API running on Docker, the Postgres on the broker. But let me show you quickly. You see that here says local is running. If I stop it and I refresh this, now says cannot reach the server. So if I start it again and I refresh, well, probably at first will not reach it, but once it's finished the startup, okay, now it finished. Now it says it's online again. Then also here, when you are like setting the server, you have like the status, the host, the port, the username, and the password. For example, if I change the username to something like, I don't know, Baba, now it's going to update the this feature is broken. I need to fix it. But basically, beforehand it deleted this message and let you configure the server again. I need to fix it up because right now it's not working. But that is like the main way. Then you can also connect your API keys depending on the connector. Well, here I have connected Binance and Binance Perpetual. But if I want to connect another key, I can go here and connect, I don't know, to Hyperliquid Perpetual. And it will ask me for the inputs, and I will need to put the inputs in the chat. And that is how you can like connect your keys. Then the other config that you can do here is the gateway. You can also configure the gateway. You can add wallets, add connectors, modify the networks, the pools, the tokens, and so, and get the gateway logs. Restart, for example, that is like the gateway logs. You can also restart the gateway, stop the gateway, and so. So for manage the gateway, and deploy it if it's not deployed. That's an important thing. It also deploys the gateway if it's not deployed. Well, that is like more like for configuration. Then what else we can do? One of the most important things is to check the portfolio. So if you run the portfolio command, it's very verbose because I think that when you want to check your portfolio, you want to check your portfolio. So that's why it gives you like all this information. But basically, it gives you by account. If, for example, in Binance Perpetual, I have $52. In Binance, 14K, and Solana, 2.5K. Total portfolio value, this amount. If I have open positions, for example, I have this med position open with the P&L and all that stuff. I'm currently like improving the size of this, so that's why it looks like that. But it will show here connector and here the site correctly, and also gives you this chart that we can probably improve like over time. But well, my suggested to just show the last day here, and I will probably add that chart of just the last day. But this is the portfolio value over time over the last 7 days. This is the proportion of the portfolio like distributed in assets. Here we have the legend of the assets that represents each of these. And then the distribution of like, for example, for the master accounts, this amount is in Binance and this amount is in Binance Perpetual. So that is like basically what this graph shows. Well, what else we can do? We can go here and click club trading. Club trading will let us manage this position. That well, I'm still working, as I mentioned, on the UI because
Yeah. Well,
you see that it's like wrap this, so maybe something like this.
Yeah, I just want to note, this is just a Karen fan of it. I just want to make one thing clear to the audience is Hummingbot, obviously, yeah, it's known for running bots, right? And we definitely think that with Telegram and also the apps, we should be focused on running bots. But right now, we're actually trying to make sure that the core, just like the trading, like, you can also do just direct trading, like do a trade, create a position, and mainly because I think, like we want to make sure that the simple action is reliable. You can trust these applications to do simple trading, and then once you're comfortable there, then be able to automate the trades in like a bot would be probably the next step. So that's why we're constantly trading first, even though it hasn't historically been Hummingbots use case.
Yeah. I will also add later on the bot management too. Actually, there is a command for that, but not yet, because first we want to just show the basics and let the people use Hummingbot just through Telegram to buy and sell. So that's like the main thing. Just to show you my perpetual account is here. Wait. So you can see that the order actually matches. Okay, this is like the trades that I have been executing with the API. So I'm trading long MET. So if I go here and I want to place an order, let's just see how is like placing an order. I can just go here to place order, and you see that it says to configure the order, I can use this that basically shows the amount that I want to do, the exchange, the trading pair. If I want to buy or I want to sell, for example, in this case, I would like to sell. If it's market or limit maker. If it's limit, you see that the price will appear here. Or you can just paste this, or well, not copy, but you can copy this, for example, and paste it here, and just reply with this or edit this to do the trade like that. But let's say I actually never tried the limit order, so let's try it live. Let's say that I want to sell at 0.34 MET, and I want to be a close type, so I can close my short, the long that I have open at 0.34, and I want to do it by let's say $100 instead of 10. So now it's updated to 100. So if I place here execute order, we should see that orders placed successfully, the amount, whatever else, and we can see now the order here. So really nice. We have the order placed. Now if we go to club trading, we should see the order, I think. Let me see if it here shows. Well, here it says no open orders. It's the first time that I open an order, so I need to fix this. But here we should also see that order because the database has that order registered. And we should be able also to kill the order in case that we want, right? If we go to order details, let's see if here appears. Order details, open orders. No, all orders. Here isn't submitted. So maybe it's because the bot is filtering the status to submitted. Here is actually open. So maybe there is an issue here with the status of the order. But we can see that the order was submitted here. Well, we can also place, if we want, like a market order. You will probably notice that by default it saved the parameters that I used before. It has $100 limit order. Well, we can change it as market. We can change it as buy and to open, so we can increase our long. And let's say that we can increase it by $15. That's like one option that we have. So if we go here to the UI, we will see that we have $243 of position. If I execute this one, we should see 158, something like that, I think. So, maybe I need to refresh the UI. Seems like it. Maybe I don't have enough margin. Limit maker. That it will probably match and take in this case. So I need to put a market order. So I need to go here. Wait, I will execute like this. I'll close this one. Order notional value is yeah, because I put 15 MET. That's why I need to put $15. If you put the dollar sign, it's with dollars. So in this case, for some reason it's like moving to BTC. Let me see. MET USDT. I still need to work on this menu a little bit, but market, and I will put $15. So that should work. For some reason it's like, or is for some reason it seems like it gets stuck. Let me start a new one. Cloud trading. just to see if there is like kind of thread stuff that is happening here on the met, and I'll put here 15. Okay, now it worked. So if I go here to $15, met market, execute order. If I open this order, I should see here. Now we have the trade to 57, so it's okay. And we can see the trade that happened here, like a few seconds ago. Where is it? A minute. So you see this arrow here shows that there was a trade here. So well, basically you can trade and do whatever you want with that. The same stuff also works for DEX. For DEX trading, we can get a quote. For example, in this case, should be there to buy 1 Solana. We can get a quote like this. We can get the value that we can swap. You can execute a swap with the same functionality. See that is like really similar to trading on a SEX, but basically we have this buy or sell only. We don't have the option of order type in this case. And well, you can change the trading pair. This is the amount and the percentage, and with this you execute the swap. So basically,
the menu is really cool. Actually, I like this menu concept a lot because it's like it takes a bit of time to like understand it, but I mean once you understand it, it's a very simple interface you can apply to any market.
Yeah. So here we don't have swap history. Actually, I didn't try the swap yet. I was working on the club, but let's try to do a swap. I think that I have probably to buy 0. Let's see, 0.1 sol. This is still not working, this menu. Yeah. I don't know. Let me see if I have enough to buy 1 sol. The wallet. Fortunately, I have enough to buy 1 sol, so we can just try that. So you see here I have $429. So I will try to go here and execute a swap to buy 1 Sol USDC. So let's try to execute it. Execute swap. Swap executed. Submit it. Let's see here. You see, it happened. So if I go here to history, it already says it swapped 1 sol. So now the swap functionality, we can say that it's working.
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's the okay, nice.
And then if we click swap history, this is live testing because I never tested this before. So seems like well, there is a NN formatting issue that I need to apply the formatting correctly. But see that says Sol USDC by confirmed. Nice. This is because the database stores everything. So yeah, I can improve the formatting here, but I should get like all the data. Actually, the data that we have is this. So let me see.
Did you put the address? Did you put the hash in the message? The confirmation hash.
Yeah. I need to edit, but I have everything. I have the transaction hash, the network, the wallet address, the amounts. So I can basically show, I think, that everything. So well, after I finish, I'm finishing the club stuff first and the report. Then I will finish this like swap. Yeah. But well, then I will also add like deposit liquidity on CRLM. That is something that the API does. Hummingbot API does. We don't in Hummingbot API. I am not supporting the B2 pools like the AMMs. I'm only supporting like CRLMs. Mostly because I don't use the B2 and I use the B3, It's like if someone wants,
we probably will down the road. It's just more like the strategy, like those strategies are more for meme coins actually. The V2s are really more for like if you're doing pump swap. Yeah, if we're actually doing more like meme coin trading and we integrate like pump swap, there probably would be more people that are doing the V2s.
Yeah.
Right now, for the CLMs are more, they're actually more used overall by traders. But yeah, just taking a step back, I think basically what we're doing is like we're basically working on these two applications. One's a desktop app, one's a Telegram app, but it should they both should use like the full power of the API. You know, it's like all the API in terms of what it can do in terms of direct trading, automating bots, fetching data. These are kind of like two reference applications that show you what people can do. So we are going to try to make them like good and use them ourselves and get them used by the community. But they actually ultimately are just examples, because you may want to have like an app that's like focused on hyperliquid points farming, for example. Maybe it's focused on LPing, but LPing on Pancake Swap, for because you're trying to farm Pancake Swap. So what we want to try to do is allow create a couple of apps that we're using ourselves, but also hopefully they serve as examples for everyone else out there.
Yeah.
Build anything they want on top of the Hummingbot API. But we do think the API is like the best place to build on top of because it's standardized. We're going to try to make sure it's well maintained. It has a database that stores all your trades and all your positions, and so it's almost like a central command center for all your trading operations. You can run it locally, you can run it in the server, and you can access it through this Telegram client that we're building or through the desktop app.
Basically, based on one of the questions here, says that is like trading orchestration is more important than portfolio monitoring. I think that the two of them are important because it's like you want to receive or have information about your portfolio. If you have like more than one source, unless that you just use Binance and you can enter into Binance to see your portfolio, you probably have more than one source, and have that all sparsed is a pain in the ass to review. So review just with one command is kind of useful. Obviously that the next step is to add the next step after I finish the trading basics is to add the bot orchestration, bot like monitoring and stop, deploy, and so. And the most interesting thing will be when I just add the feature of adding the AI inside of the Telegram bot. Because the last month, if you check the live streams, I have been showing like how you can use the MCP to deploy bots, to create configuration for the controllers, to, for example, rebalance your portfolio, to create an LP range. Like I was able to do like everything with MCP in the first shot almost. Like if you check the live stream that I did, like I think that was 3 weeks ago, I was saying the AI create a range in this pool with 3 different strategy types for Meteora, and in less than 10 seconds, the 3 of them were created. So I think that the AI will help us a lot in the near future to orchestrate the bots with some like custom rules that you can set. For example, I use, for example, the grid strike sometimes to rebalance my portfolio. So I have some settings that I usually use to set the spread between the orders, to set the take profit, and so. So maybe it's faster once you have those settings like defined, but you just change in what pair and from what price to what price. So that is like having a pool of 0.5%, a pool of 1%, and a pool of 2%. Like the logic is the same. You are just making money while the market goes up and down and the people trade with your liquidity. But just having those like base setups is something that if you can configure that with natural language and deploy that with natural language, you can, if you are human, you can manage actively, I don't know, 5 ranges, 10 ranges in a day if you have another thing. with this you can manage probably, I don't know, 50 ranges or 100 ranges, because you just need to define the rules and let the AI execute the logic for you. The important thing is that the most important thing is to define the rules correctly, so the AI can then understand when you say, okay, now do it between 100. Let's say that now the Solana dropped to 120, 125. So if your instruction is create a range to buy Solana between 125 and 130, and the AI has all the details of, okay, what's the preference of the spacing between the orders, what's the preference of the fee, what's the preference of this. If that is like already by default, you can just send the missing information for the AI to accomplish it. So you can send instructions or deploy your capital very efficiently, where before you probably need a team of people working for you if you are like heavy user of this. So well,
Yeah, because I think there's like two ways that AI are going to help people. I think in the future, you'll be able to automate and kind of let AI really make decisions for you. So you can manage a lot more positions. You can basically, as Fede said, you can replace all the team of people with just you and a few AI agents out there running. But I do think I would say that is kind of like, I do think it's possible, but I would say it's like, because if you look at all the research out there, people are trying to like throw AI models that like have them compete with one another. Most of them are not that intelligent yet. So they're mostly just like kind of like throwing darts at the wall, basically almost like a random trading kind of thing. So I think but if you have a strategy that's actually profitable, I do think you can kind of you can automate that strategy using AI. But to me, actually, I think the best use case, at least initially for AI, is just simply allowing you to have very complex controls. And basically, for instance, like creating position. If you create a position and you're trying to use, like, let's say the traditional like CLI interface, you have to define the price, the amounts, and get everything very precisely correct. Otherwise, maybe the API call would fail. But here, like as Fede said, because you're using the power of AI, you can say, hey, create 3 positions, and just use natural language to say what you want. And the AI will figure out what you're trying to do and call the right API endpoints in the right way.
That's like the approach that I am saying. Like, it's more like a semi-automatic trading, because the automation will happen because Hummingbot does automation for you. But what we are building with AI is like the gateway to interact with this complex system in a simple way. Once you define some structural rules, that's like the most like interesting thing. Is like those rules needs to be defined. Like, okay, what's the minimum space between orders? You just define that once, or edit them if you need. But once you have those like base settings, then you can like let the AI mutate that to help you creating these configurations for you. In the future, we can think like more like an automated stuff, but I think that we are not quite there yet. We are like in the process of how we can automate what we are actually doing right now.
I also, and I think it's also like when I think about like how I would run use it, it's more like, okay, I'm on the go and I'm like, okay, shit, Bitcoin just dropped like 10%. Now's a great time to actually maybe buy some Bitcoin. But it's kind of like, how do I easily, basically do this trade, using my Telegram app or whatever, while I'm not in front of my computer,
Well, we Telegram now you can do it with the club trading command, and soon you will be able to send a message to Condor saying, "Hey, can you buy some Bitcoin?" Probably.
That's actually what people are doing right now. Right now, they're going to just the exchange website, the Hyperliquid website or like the Jupiter website, and they're just basically doing the trade there. But Hummingbot is basically just standardizing all the API endpoints and saying you can call it yourself. You can just run a piece of software they can do it. You don't need to go through some application that is charging you fees for accessing that API.
And the best thing is that we don't charge the users, even in Hyperliquid that we could, because all the other platforms are adding the builder code. We are not, because our main thing is always like don't charge the users, let the people use the software. Maybe we can do like a very very small, but maybe not. Maybe it's like I think that
I would. The way I think about it is more like it's like if someone wants to build an application on top of Hummingbot where it's like and they want to add it in the code, that's up to them. But I think at least for us it's like because it's just open source, anyone can remove it if we had it anyway. So
yeah. I agree. But well, it's like we don't have way to monetize, but that's why I think that we're going to be a very good option for all of them that don't want to be charged by others.
It's kind of like I think I would say we may add a fee at some point in the future, but at least right now because we're just starting out, I think our main goal is to just make the Telegram application, make the Mac app just something that people can use. That's something that we want to use also. And hopefully it'll showcase the power of the Hummingbot API.
Yeah. But well, overall, I'm very happy with the current state of the bot. I started it like I just checked. The first copy was 2 years ago. I have been like this in mind. I had this in mind for a long time. But first, I want to set up the foundations of the Hummingbot API properly before like developing too much. And right now I think the Hummingbot API is in a very very good shape. It's time to really build a good UI on top of it that can help the users do their stuff very well.
Just question from Roger. Roger, you're referring to the miner site to enforce referral revenue. I know the software itself is open source. Actually, I would say we actually still talk quite a lot to the miner team. Because it's probably one of the biggest use cases for Hummingbot out there. So I would say the miner team, I would say they are hopefully the miner team will be adding to the platform soon. Because in the past I would say they were trying to do market making as well. I think now actually they're going to concentrate on miner. I heard actually they're going to add more exchanges pretty soon. And I do think that overall I think we'll try to work with them more to try to hopefully people who are doing miner can do more stuff. Like for instance, maybe we'll add miner API. If they can add the miner API to Hummingbot API, so you can see rewards, for example. Stuff like that would actually be pretty helpful. But I do think overall, again, we should try to work with these reward programs, whether it's miner, XRP Liquid, anything that people are earning rewards or points with Hummingbot on. I do think we should try to support that use case better. Because overall that is probably one of the main things that people are doing with Hummingbot. So I think the main thing I would say, just in terms of the roadmap next year. Next year, I think we'll try to kind of like continue to add more exchanges because now we have a pretty good model for working with exchanges. So I think we can actually significantly increase the number of exchanges, both like club dexes as well as AMM dexes next year, and have members of the community build and add these integrations. We actually have a pretty good standard for them now. I think we also, in terms of supporting new market types next year, I think we'll actually look at see if we can support prediction markets. We've been talking to Polymarket for a while. I've actually known like the founder of Polymarket for like 5 years. So I've always wanted to support prediction markets. It is kind of different from the 3 market types that we support today. But I do think that we should be able to have at least like a Polymarket connector at some point next year for testing. But our main focus next year is still going to be on improving the API and basically maintaining these reference applications and getting people to use them. The Telegram client and the Mac, and / Android client. But overall, we think that if we can just focus on maintaining the API well and just have people start using and building on top of it, then the usage should show it for itself, and we'll get more and more people using Hummingbot, and that should lead to a sustainable ecosystem. But overall, I think we're excited about what's coming, because I think now that we have the API, we finally have like one single like kind of place where people can kind of concentrate their efforts, and hopefully we can kind of sort of showcase what people have been building on top of it in next year. So yeah, we have a cohort of bot camp in our next cohort is in April. So hopefully they'll give us a few months to really just focus on building and improving kind of like the foundation of the code base, so that when the next cohort comes along of bot camp, there'll be some really amazing things that people can build using Hummingbot by April.
Yeah, I agree, and also I think that probably next year will also be a year where we focus on cleaning up Hummingbot and doing a core upgrade on Hummingbot to make it more efficient and more stable, and probably add more sources or more revenues, more data sources. That will be probably another part of the work. But well, the good thing is that Hummingbot has been out for a long time. And there is people that we know from closely that uses it heavily. They're happy with the product. Actually, the other day I have been talking with a guy that has like 60 or 70 instances of Hummingbot running.
Nice.
He was with the one that requested the headless mode.
Okay.
And yeah, like it's really nice that people like that is adopting Hummingbot.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that is probably not our the main user that we have, because it's difficult that a common user reaches up to the point of running 60 or 70 instances. But it's one of the users that we would definitely want to support, because he's like trying to run a business, a real or serious business with this. But well, these tools of the Telegram bot and everything helps you manage the complexity of multiple bots. Well, I hope that we can still help those people. And we should continue with this path. And with AI, I think that we can.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's kind of like, now it's like even one person can be like massive scale, because it's like if you're running one instance versus like 100 instances. I do think Hummingbot, it's like we should go support either use case, and like the person running 100 instances may have to do some additional configuration to make it work, but it should be possible, using the kind of foundation.
Yeah, in terms of architecture there, the thing is that we should have like the current setup is very, very good, because the specs of the machines that you need to run it is very low, and you're not going to pay a lot of money to have this running. In case that you would like to run a lot of instances, I have then two ideas for the next year that I want to implement. The first idea is more simple, like with some keys of AWS or DigitalOcean or any platform that lets you do Kubernetes, add the functionality to the Hummingbot API to deploy the bots on a cluster. That will probably have more costs, but probably is the most clean solution. More cost because usually those type of services are more expensive than just servers. And the other option is to have a connection also in the API with other servers using Docker Swarm, because Docker Swarm is much more lightweight than Kubernetes. I think that you only need like 200 megabytes of RAM to have it running. Like that's the specs that it needs. So basically that's like a other option. And with the API, you can register other servers connected to it and deploy through Docker Swarm the containers of Hummingbot in other servers. Those are like the two main ways to go in order to scale like massive. If you want, for example, to deploy 300 bots, right now you can't, because Binance puts you a restriction by IP address. So you can't more than that number of bots. But well, with this thing, we can have multiple servers based on a limit of number of bots per server. Start deriving the bots to other services. But well, Via Chef says you said improve the core of ABot. Are referring to the Python base classes improvements? Yeah, probably some of the base classes will be improved. Maybe we can bump versions. I think that the first thing that we will do is probably setting up a good profiling tool to really see how much time each process takes, and then define where to improve. But some of the things that we would like to do is or I want to do for the connectors, is to make them more dynamic. For example, the trading functionality of sending an order or whatever should be available for all the pairs from a connector. Actually, Hummingbot API lets you send trades across all the pairs that a connector has. Hummingbot does not let you do that, only for the pairs that you initialize it. And that's designed for strategies that really need to use the order book and are HFT strategies. But if it's like a mid-frequency strategy, you probably don't need the order book of all the pairs. For example, you can just get the order book of Binance and then trade the same pair across 5 different exchanges with just the order book of Binance. You don't need all the order books. So those things are like configuration. Based on the configuration, they are stuck to always initialize the order book, and maybe we can determine what data sources we would like to have running for the strategy, and have the trading functionality available for all the pairs directly. So those are like some of the improvements that I want to do on the connector side. And then obviously do a cleanup of the current classes that we have, see what we can improve, and all that. But yeah, those are like the main things that I have in mind for the next year on Hummingbots. It's always a possibility to start exploring and start building something in Rust also, that I want to do this like for 1 year already. Maybe start with market data service that just process all the market data and lives in Rust, and we have a communication to connect that with Hummingbots. But yeah, those are like the main things that we would like to do.
Yeah. On the deck side, I would say I think there's still some work to do to improve like how Hummingbot Gateway integrates to RPC providers specifically. So like we like initially the approach was always just like connect to REST RPC, but now like I think because of the RPCs are doing a lot more. They're like they have like sending capabilities, they have data capabilities, and so I think that adding WebSocket capabilities to the RPC and just basically getting more information from RPC and like really using it as like a core part of Gateway as opposed to our URL is, I think, one of the biggest parts of Gateway. And I think once you do that, then should be much more reliable in placing swaps, placing LPI, any transaction should be much more reliable if you have a consistent RPC connection and you're polling using WebSocket for that transaction. After that, I think I'm really going to concentrate on, I would say, that plus LPN, so basically providing liquidity to concentrated liquidity dexes, I think will be the focus, mainly because that's part of the main strategy I do personally. And I think being able to automate that, be able to do that across any dex using Gateway will be the goal. And I think I would say probably in about one or 2 months that experience will be a lot better than it is today. But overall, I think that you see, I think Fede and I we're still kind of working on the core, and kind of like the foundation, kind of, if you will, because it's like I think in the past, I think Hummingbot, it was more of like one single like a client that had like basically the interface as a command line. It was actually had all this in the back end also, but it was not really designed to be something that people build on top of. It was just like a tool that people use for one single purpose, which is market making. So what we're actually doing now is we're in the process of like decoupling like the interface of Hummingbot, like the command line interface from the actual the foundation, which are the integrations or exchanges, and trying to make that integration layer, like more standardized in the API, and then basically build on top of the API. So that's why there's actually quite a lot changing under the hood, but I think it's actually going to be really good for the long term, because now I think we have a foundation of the API is much more scalable to different types of exchanges, different types of strategies. Anything that people want to do, I think is now possible. But we just need to make sure that the foundation gets better and better, and that we're basically creating examples of applications like the Telegram client that people can use alongside. So that's why I think a big part of this I do think is AI is going to be the future. So it's like right now it's like these are individual actions that we're trying to make sure all work. Like you can place a trade, you can add liquidity, but I do think in like 2 years from now there'll be like some personal agent that we'll be able to instruct and be like, hey, here's my goal for my portfolio. Here's the strategies that you can employ. Go off and just try to make me money, by seeing what's out there, and when these events happen, and hopefully that agent will be able to kind of like do everything you would do, but kind of even better, and 24/7. So that's how I would say the goal. And I think I would say Hummingbot, because it's an automation framework, is well suited to actually do that. Because it's hard to trust something, and give it all these things if you can't trust that it will do each one correctly. And so our goal right now is to make sure the API can do each action that you want it to do correctly, can handle all the different edge cases that might arise. And then over time, what you can do is you can start to, let AI, make decisions and automate all those actions. So I would say we'll probably write this up in a proper, 2026 technical roadmap. But we just want to do live stream just to show off what we're doing, and just tell the community what's coming in 2026.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you weren't able to come. This live stream was to be like live here in Mar del Plata, but you are going to come in March. I will probably do some there.
Yeah. We'll do maybe another one in March. When I'm down in Argentina for the next one. But this is a good one. I think we should do this every so often, just to like talk to the community, and just tell you guys what we're working on. But overall, it's actually been. I really love working on Hummingbot because it's kind of like I'm doing trading anyway, so I might as well build something that I'm going to use myself. That's how I look at it, and it's just been just really fun working with Fede and just everyone just building on top of it.
Yeah, I also really like it. Well, I think that we enjoy it because we try to build also for ourselves. So that's like the main thing. Like if you work in something that you don't want to use, it's like you're not going to put the efforts that see something that you are going to use it for yourself. So that's probably one of the things that makes a difference. Yeah.
All right, I think this pretty much wraps up the end of the live stream. I would say to get started, just go to the docs. There's a guide that shows you how to set up the API, and then you can just start interacting with it directly, or you can install. You should install like the dashboard, like either the Telegram client or the dashboard or other interfaces pretty soon.
Yeah. And from my side, I will probably publish next week when I have like a better that when the bot is in a better shape. I will probably merge the PR and create a small video like showing the setup, like how to do it in a server directly, so you can just have Hamilton on your phone on the go. So well, that's all I think.
Okay, all right, guys. We'll see you later, and happy trading.
Yeah, bye.